Bless, bless, bless. It's the Down to Earth Network, Down to Earth podcast with your host, Sean Myrie. This episode is kind of controversial, straight to the point. Hip hop media's future. Recently, there's been a big event from a big podcast from, No Jumper host Adam 22. Now, Adam 22 brings a lot of gangster guests on his platform, right? He has Bric Baby, one of his co-hosts, and he brings a lot of people on there, right? Wack 100, very controversial figure. People call him out, call him Fed sometimes. But you know what? He brings the real. And another brother, right? Luce Cannon, bless up to him. Free Luce Cannon. He's been on there a couple times. But recently, they done a roundup of 29 individuals associated with the Rolling 60s, right? On all types of charges. You can look it up. Extortion, all types of things. It's not good. But this is the big picture. Why go on this platform, right? And talk your business. Street stuff, you got to separate it because the street stuff, like I said in many other episodes, the police, right, or the powers that be watch all of this. They watch social media all the time. I don't know if anybody gets reminded by the host or anything not to talk about certain things if they don't want to get in trouble. But some people say it's not Adam 22's fault. It's not his responsibility. But check this out. You know who you're bringing on there. It gets real spicy. They get into it. Sometimes there's a lot of confrontation going back and forth, people talking about each other, right? And that makes more conflict after the show, right? There's been a lot of gangster stuff associated with No Jumper. So this is a hip hop media platform, a hip hop media platform. Will this change the landscape? How people come on these platforms and they talk or they'll think about it? Because recently, after that situation of a lot of the Rolling 60s Crips getting round up with, some Bric Baby, the host, and Luce Cannon, right? He had, Adam 22 had a big meeting with Akademiks. I don't know if it was a meeting, it was an episode. To me, it was like a meeting. Akademiks, Vlad, Trap Boy LaRosse, who else? Wack 100 was there, and of course Adam 22. They're all speaking about this whole situation and more, right? So these guys are very influential. They're always on the internet. They talk a lot of stuff about all types of stuff. I mean, what's going on in the industry, what's going on in the street. So Akademiks, for example, he's a big content maker. And he talks about sometimes the streets, but he talks about the industry too. And then you got Vlad too. He asks certain questions on his platform. And some people call him Fed. And then you got Trap Boy LaRosse, very controversial figure. Some people think he's a cultural vulture, as well as Vlad and Adam 22, because they're Caucasian. And they get criticized all the time. People call them Feds. Even people putting that label on Wack 100, right? And maybe even Akademiks. So the only one I feel who was not there was Joe Budden. Does this change the landscape for hip hop media? Does this make things change? Is this a good look? Will this make people scared to go on these platforms, right? Will this change a lot of that? Because let's be straight up. Let's go back to No Jumper. Don't want to blame everything on Adam 22, but a lot of individuals go on this platform knowing that it's going to be broadcast to thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, and they talk about stuff, what's going on in the street, not thinking that the FBI or any type of legal source, right, authority is watching or listening to them at all, right? I've been doing this, me and my brother been doing this podcast business for over 5 years. And we had many guests, some people with records, and you know what? I don't want to hear about it because if we hear about it, we're going to be part of that investigation, recording of someone talking about a crime. Is it worth it? No. But A lot of people like this as entertainment. They like it. They claim it's great entertainment talking about this stuff. But you know what? It can get you wind up in prison if you talk about stuff what could incriminate you, right? And you associate with an organization that does criminal activity. So recently, Big U, he got rounded up in the raid with a couple other individuals, right? And Bric Baby, who's a big host on, No Jumper, and they're associating them with a lot of things. And bless up to the brother Luce Cannon too. They're trying to associate them with all types of things, right? But how does the podcast incriminate them? Does it incriminate them, or can they get off of it because you could the host could claim that it's not real? Does he want to give that up? Because it could hurt his show. You could claim some of it is scripted, or the individuals who have came on that platform could claim that it's fake. I was just saying certain things to spice up the episode for Adam 22. But yo, like I said, Adam 22 had a episode not too long after this whole big controversy blew up, and it's still going on. Talk to all, well, not all, but some of the main content makers in the game. So, what was this? Was this a meeting to really talk about what's going on in the industry and how you got to be careful how to talk on these platforms with certain types of guests? Because a lot of people might stop going on these platforms, right? These podcasts who have a certain type of background. Does it make sense to be talking, spilling the tea of your cases, what you're facing? Adam 22, I don't think he cares, right? He will say in his defense, it's not his responsibility. And same with the other content makers. They will say it's not their responsibility to let you know not to say certain things. But a lot of people I guess they love this content. That's what's getting the views. That's what's getting the views, hearing all types of spicy news. So, like I said, me as a content maker, my brother as a content maker, we don't want no part of this type of ish, because it's not going to be beneficial. Now, for future, or if not now, they're watching Adam 22's platform. People are calling him a Fed, even if he's not a Fed. The Feds are watching his platform 100%. They're watching everybody, but especially that platform. And they will go back to old episodes of other individuals who spoke on it now. Right? I know they tried to catch rappers for what they say in their songs, and they have some defense that you can't use lyrics against them. Does that apply to podcasts? Does it? Is it the same? Because a lot of these podcasts, when people come on them, is supposedly supposed to be real. It's not scripted. So now, when you have an episode, you better put some type of disclaimer up. You better put some type of disclaimer up, because, for example, they just done a bust on a whole bunch of individuals, and some of them are associated, or I'm not saying fully associated, but they've been on that platform, the No Jumper platform. And the authorities claim, right, in their investigation, they got the evidence through podcast. So they've been watching, they've been eating their popcorn and viewing the podcast, listening, because basically you guys are doing the job for them. Podcast or vlog, whatever, when you're talking on the internet, about crime, anything what you're doing, like if you're gonna assault somebody or some type of thing what they might deem as a threat, they are listening and they are watching you every day. You cannot do that. Sorry. A lot of people don't understand the internet. They're still new to this whole thing, thinking it's, yes, it's free in a way, not really, but they do police these platforms. They do police the internet, Instagram, YouTube, all of them, Twitch, Twitter. They are listening. So when you go on these platforms, sorry to say, because people want views, have something better to talk about. If you're an artist, entrepreneur, talk about that. I guess maybe that might not get the views, but talk about those things if you're an artist, entrepreneur, whatever you do. But when it comes to something that is deemed illegal by the system, stay away from that. Trust me. Stay away from beef that involves illegal activity. Because, right, everybody has enemies. A lot of people got haters. Those haters will report. They will report and share what you just said on social media. So, the future of hip hop media is going to be more, if not, it was already being watched by the hip hop police, but it's going to be more monitored more than ever, especially if you're somebody who's very big and, you know, your whatever your background supposedly supposed to be gangster. They're going to be watching you. So hip hop media, please get back to the foundation. Real journalism. Ask about the music. Ask about maybe a little bit of their life, but you don't have to ask about the illegal street activities, past or future. That's what gets these individuals in trouble. You don't have to ask about it. If they bring it up, try to influence them not to talk about it, right? You can't control everything, but if you could control your platform, you can control your platform. It's not worth it. It's really not worth it. I'm telling you, right? It's not worth losing your platform, getting in trouble. No, no, no. It's not worth none of that. Believe me, right? So the future of hip hop media, there's still a couple individuals that keep it, 100, right? Keep it to the actual industry. I know we got a lot of politics in the industry, but they keep it to the music, they keep it to the art, right? There's all different types of podcasts. There's even crime podcast, right? Uh, there's all types. I can't even name them all. But why go on a platform and spill the tea? It's not worth it. The future of hip hop media in regards to podcast, you better be really careful, right? If you're a host, because they are watching you and watching your guest, right? And I think as a host, you should have some responsibility to make the individuals that come on your platform know, right? If they don't know, educate them, because believe me, even some adults, they don't have no sense. They don't have sense, some adults. And hip hop media is going to change. And I think for the better. Sorry to say, cut out some of that bullshit. I think for the better. Let's get back to the actual art. If you want to talk about street stuff, call it, make it a street podcast, a gangster podcast, and have a warning or a disclaimer saying that, yo, remember, the hip hop police is watching, right? Make them know. So maybe they'll be a little bit more smarter to a little bit more careful what they say. They will be more careful if you you let them know. Because what ends up happening later on, they're gonna come to blame you, the host. Some of them, because they don't know no better. They're gonna say you made me say all this stuff. Do you want that? And hip hop is not all about the gangster shit. It's not all about street stuff. That's just the stuff what people want to bring out to the forefront. Hip hop is a culture. It's more than all of this stuff, what is pushed, right? So now certain people are going to be called out as like feds or snitches, especially if a guest came on your show or they were a host and they were talking a lot about this incriminating stuff, what leads to something like a bust or a raid, right? The feds in America mention RICO. I heard about a RICO. Most RICO, no one escapes that. That means the feds have an airtight case and they don't do anything unless they know they got you. So I pray for anybody who's innocent in this situation that associated themselves with this situation, because I know that the feds don't joke, right? And for future people or people now who are doing this podcast business, right? Be careful who you bring on your platform. Be careful of what you're saying, what you allow them to say on your platform, because the powers that be, or the boy them, or the cops, whoever, they are watching. This is just, you make it too easy for them. It's too easy. All they have to do is go to, for example, No Jumper and watch. But guess what? I'm giving you this advice, Adam 22. They're going to go back to old episodes of other individuals. They're going to say, huh, they're rubbing their hands. We got some people. I wonder how much more came on this platform and spilled the tea. They're going to be watching a lot of episodes. They're going to be a fan of No Jumper. And whoever has a platform similar to this, they're going to be watching even more, because if you could get 29 people scooped up, right? And you base some of the evidence off of a podcast, and it made it easy for them, they're going to be digging even more. Trust me. I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding this whole situation. It just doesn't look good. I'll be straight up. It just does not look good. I don't know. Doesn't look good. Does not look good. Adam 22. People are saying don't blame Adam, but damn, man. What is going on? What is going on? Does not look good. And you know what? He might get away with it. You know why? They might not even really bother too much. They're watching his platform because I'm going to be straight up, he's white. Right? Like Vlad. So he has some type of defense, straight, as weird as it is. But if he was a black man who was the host of that platform, probably if Adam was black, he probably would be incarcerated too right now. If he was black, I'm going to say it again. If Adam was black, he probably would be incarcerated too. And I'm talking about even Vlad too. That's why Akademiks, he talks about stuff, but you notice he's solo. He talks about a lot of stuff, but he's solo. They tried to get him for something recently, but he's still on, right? Bless up to Wack. Wack brings a lot of news out there, and a lot of people want to call him snitch and fed, right? He's a snitch and he's a fed. They put that label on him a lot. More than Vlad, more than Adam 22, but now they're calling them all feds. So if they're feds, that means there's a lot of other feds too, All the ones who talk about a lot of crime, things in the streets, and they're promoting it on their platform. That means there's a lot of other feds. Anybody who allows somebody to come on their platform and spill the tea, and you control the platform, and they're talking about like criminal activity or cases, are you a fed too? Let me tell you, down to earth, we don't have anybody talking about no cases. None of that. That doesn't exist. So, no one is perfect. I'm just saying, hip hop media's future is not looking too good unless we kind of try to filter out the garbage and get back to actually celebrating the culture, the art, and interviewing people that don't have, well, they could have a background what's not perfect, but let's not talk about it. Let's talk about what they're doing positive. Let's not talk about the negative. I don't want to hear about your jail stories. I don't want to hear about your street stories. I don't want to hear about no confrontations going on. Because guess what? When it's getting recorded, right? He made it easy for the feds or the powers that be. Bless up, it's Sean Myrie of the Down to Earth Network. And this episode is Hip Hop Media's Future. Please subscribe. Bless.